March 1st, 2026, a date that will be remembered for generations in Israel's history. Tel Aviv wakes to a morning like any other, until the piercing wail of air raid sirens shatters the calm, echoing across the city as the sun rises. In an instant, the city's daily rhythm is violently interrupted. People freeze mid-step, their faces turning from routine to shock and disbelief. Missiles streak across the sky, leaving trails of smoke and fire. Explosions thunder through the streets, shaking buildings and sending shockwaves of panic through the population. Chaos erupts as the city is plunged into confusion. People scramble for shelter, sprinting toward bomb shelters and stairwells. Families huddle together in safe rooms, clutching loved ones as the sounds of destruction grow louder. First responders, risking their own safety, race toward the rising plumes of smoke, determined to help the injured. The attack is massive, far beyond anything the city has faced before. Missiles rain down in waves, targeting neighborhoods across Tel Aviv, leaving devastation in their wake. Residential neighborhoods are struck without warning. Commercial centers, once bustling with life, are reduced to rubble. Critical infrastructure, roads, power lines, and water supplies are all hit, crippling the city's ability to respond. Windows shatter from the force of the blasts. Buildings burn uncontrollably, and iconic landmarks, symbols of Tel Aviv's resilience, crumble before the eyes of stunned residents. Communications collapse as networks are overwhelmed by desperate calls for help. Families try frantically to reach loved ones, but the lines are jammed, adding to the sense of isolation and fear. Ambulance sirens wail through the chaos, weaving between debris and burning vehicles. The cries of the wounded echo through the city, as emergency responders work tirelessly to save lives amid the devastation. The Iron Dome, once a symbol of security, is overwhelmed by the sheer volume of rockets. For the first time, fear and uncertainty replace the city's usual energy and confidence. Major roads are blocked by debris, making it nearly impossible for emergency services to reach those in need. Every minute counts, but the destruction slows every effort. The sense of security Israelis once felt is gone. Tel Aviv, a city known for its vibrancy and resilience, is now under full-scale assault, its people sheltering in fear. The city, once alive with energy, is now gripped by terror and mourning. Streets are empty except for those searching for survivors or grieving for the lost. This day will be forever etched in the nation's memory. The Israeli flag flies at half-mast, and makeshift memorials spring up across the city as citizens come together in grief and solidarity. The unthinkable has become reality. Tel Aviv stands wounded, its people forever changed by the events of this day. The attack on Tel Aviv was Iran's furious response to a US-Israeli strike that killed its supreme leader and top officials. Iran's Revolutionary Guard launched a massive coordinated barrage of missiles and drones, aiming to overwhelm Israel's defenses. The operation, codenamed True Promise, targeted not only Israel but also 27 US military bases across the Middle East. Iran's message, any attack on its leadership would trigger devastating regional consequences. The strikes followed days of national mourning and outrage in Iran, fueled by civilian casualties from the initial US-Israeli operation. Iran's interim government needed to show strength. This was both military strategy and political statement. Iranian officials warned this was only the beginning, and further attacks would bring even harsher retaliation. The region was now locked in a deadly cycle of escalation. Israel's Iron Dome, once a symbol of security and technological prowess, faced its greatest test, and for the first time, faltered under the sheer scale of the assault. For years, the Iron Dome had reassured Israelis, intercepting countless rockets and providing a sense of invincibility. But this night would be different. Iran's saturation attack unleashed hundreds of missiles and drones from multiple directions, overwhelming the system's capacity. The attack was meticulously coordinated, designed to exploit every weakness and to push the Iron Dome beyond its operational limits. Interceptors lit up the sky in a desperate attempt to shield the cities below, but for every missile stopped, several more broke through. The night air was filled with the thunder of explosions and the streaks of both defenders and attackers. The Iron Dome and other defense layers simply couldn't keep up with the volume and variety of threats. Operators worked frantically, but the relentless barrage left them with impossible choices about which targets to prioritize. Buildings were struck, fires raged, and the psychological impact was immediate. Sirens wailed across Tel Aviv, as emergency services rushed to respond, and residents scrambled for shelter amid chaos and confusion. The myth of an impenetrable shield was shattered. Scenes of destroyed batteries and damaged neighborhoods made it clear that no defense is absolute. Israel's military and political leaders were forced to confront the limits of their technology. Urgent meetings were held as they watched the live feeds, realizing the scale of the crisis unfolding in real time. The images of destruction proved that even the most advanced defenses can be breached. The aftermath was a sobering reminder of the vulnerability that still exists, even in the most fortified cities. For the people of Tel Aviv, the sense of vulnerability was profound. Families huddled in bomb shelters, listening to the distant sounds of explosions, unsure if their homes would be next. The nation's confidence in its security was shaken to the core, leaving Israelis to grapple with a new reality. One where even their most trusted shield could be pierced. The missiles that broke through left Tel Aviv devastated. High-rise apartments collapsed, city blocks were reduced to rubble, and iconic sites like Dizengoff Center and Sarona Market burned. Emergency services were overwhelmed, unable to reach everyone trapped beneath the debris. Hospitals overflowed with the wounded, the death toll climbed by the hour. Streets were choked with dust and smoke, turning the city into a wasteland. Makeshift memorials appeared amid the ruins as residents mourned lost loved ones. The randomness of destruction was terrifying. Cafes, playgrounds, homes, all shattered in moments. The city's spirit was broken, daily life replaced by shock and grief. Tel Aviv, once a symbol of progress, became a landscape of mourning. The scars, physical and emotional, would last for generations. Iran's retaliation didn't stop at Israel. Simultaneous strikes targeted U.S. military bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, the UAE, and Jordan, pulling the entire region into crisis. Explosions and air raid sirens echoed from Tel Aviv to Dubai, as air defenses scrambled to intercept incoming missiles. Airspace across the Persian Gulf shut down, flights were cancelled, and oil prices soared. The attacks exposed the vulnerability of U.S. allies and threatened to plunge the region into economic chaos. Tehran's message was clear. Hosting American forces now carried grave risks. The Middle East had become a chessboard of escalating danger overnight. This war is the violent climax of decades of shadow conflict between Iran and Israel. Since 1979, Iran's regime has viewed Israel as an enemy. Israel, in turn, sees Iran's nuclear ambitions as an existential threat. Proxy wars, cyber attacks, and covert operations have defined their rivalry. Iran backs groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. Israel has targeted Iranian scientists and nuclear sites. The tipping point: a U.S.-Israeli strike killed Iran's supreme leader, crossing a line never breached before. Iran's massive missile attack was its answer. No more deniability, no more proxy battles. The shadow war has erupted into open state-on-state conflict. The world now faces the nightmare scenario it long feared. Behind the headlines and political statements, it is ordinary people who bear the heaviest burden of war. Their lives are upended in ways that rarely make the news, but the impact is profound and lasting. In Tel Aviv, families scrambled for shelter as sirens wailed, clutching loved ones and whatever belongings they could carry. Homes and businesses, places once filled with laughter and daily routines, were reduced to rubble, and the rhythm of daily life disappeared in a single, terrifying moment. The trauma runs deep. Every siren, every sudden noise sends new waves of panic through communities already on edge. Children struggle to sleep, parents try to hide their fear, and the sense of safety that once existed is shattered. The city's vibrant culture, its music, art, and bustling streets, has been silenced by grief and uncertainty. Public spaces that once brought people together now stand empty, marked by loss and the weight of what's been taken. In Iran, the U.S.-Israeli strikes killed hundreds, including children, plunging entire communities into mourning. Funerals fill the streets, and families search for loved ones among the ruins, their grief echoing across generations. Both nations' civilians now face not only the threat of violence, but also economic hardship and growing isolation. Long lines for basic necessities, shuttered shops, and empty markets are daily reminders of how war disrupts every aspect of life. The human cost is staggering: lives lost, families broken, futures stolen. Children grow up too fast, forced to confront realities no one should ever face, while parents mourn the loss of dreams for their loved ones. These stories of heartbreak and resilience rarely make the headlines, but they are the true legacy of war. Away from the cameras, people comfort each other, trying to rebuild some sense of normalcy amid chaos. Israelis and Iranians alike are united by suffering, not politics. Despite the distance and the conflict, their pain and hopes are remarkably similar, each side longing for peace and safety. The price of conflict is paid by those with the least power to shape its course: the elderly, the young, and the poor. Their voices are often unheard, yet their losses are immeasurable. There are no real winners in war, only loss, heartbreak, and the haunting memories of what once was. The scars of this war, etched into buildings, bodies, and memories, will endure long after the bombs stop falling, shaping generations to come. The world watched in alarm as war erupted between Iran and Israel. The UN Security Council rushed into emergency session, desperate to prevent a wider conflict. The US condemned Iran's attacks and pledged support for Israel. Europe called for a ceasefire, fearing global instability. Russia and China urged restraint, highlighting deep divisions among world powers. Oil prices soared, stock markets plunged, and fears of a global recession grew. The Strait of Hormuz, vital for global energy, was suddenly at risk. Both Israel and Iran threatened further escalation, each vowing to respond with greater force. The world stood on the edge, hoping for diplomacy, but bracing for catastrophe. As the smoke clears, the region stands at a crossroads: war or peace. The cycle of retaliation threatens to spiral out of control. The urgent priority: an immediate ceasefire and humanitarian aid for the wounded and displaced. Silence the guns so diplomacy can begin. Global and regional powers must push for dialogue, address the nuclear issue, and rein in proxy forces. True security can't be won by force alone. It requires respect, dialogue, and shared humanity. Israelis, Iranians, and all in the region deserve peace, not endless fear. The images of Tel Aviv's destruction are a warning. War only brings more ruin. The world must choose the harder, hopeful path: peace over devastation. The future depends on it.